here is the internal capsule, and here is the reticular nucleus. The reticular nucleus contains putamen and globus pallidus, and on the outer part here is the internal capsule, and here is external capsule. Away from the external capsule there is claustrum, and on the outer side of the claustrum there is extreme capsule. So when impulse from the frontal cortex thinks to do something, the information will go to the basal ganglia. Then from the basal ganglia through the thalamus, it will go back to the brain. Here there is a brain. The information will come to the basal ganglia. From the basal ganglia, then it will go to the thalamus. There is two pathways for information to pass from the brain to the basal ganglia: direct and indirect. You see the direct first. There is glutaminergic neuron. From the first, let's see, there is the term neostratum, stratum corneum, stratum. Neostratum includes, here is the thalamus, and there is a C-shaped caudate nucleus. The caudate nucleus plus this, the putamen called caudate nucleus and putamen called neostratum. Caudate nucleus, putamen and globus pallidus together called stratum corneum, and the putamen only called stratum. Here you see. So you see this, and the base at this is what you say, caudate nucleus. The caudate nucleus tail below the lenticular nucleus is called amygdala. So traditionally the part of basal ganglia are the caudate nucleus 1, caudate nucleus, amygdala 2, lenticular nucleus 3, and claustrum are parts of traditional classification of basal ganglia, and clinically the basal ganglia includes caudate nucleus, the caudate nucleus 1, and below the thalamus there is a subthalamus, lentiform nucleus, lenticular or lentiform nucleus, and on the spinal, on the midbrain there is the superior colliculus. In the midbrain there is the superior colliculus posteriorly, and a little below it there is substantia nigra. So these are the part of clinical classification of basal ganglia. So When here is the brain, here is the brain, then there is a thalamus, inferior subthalamus, thalamus, and subthalamus, putamen, and here is a brain, here is a Dienchephalon nucleus, putamen nucleus, globus pallidus, and here is a thalamus, and here is subthalamus. Here is the brain. Let's make it big. Here is the brain. So as we have said, there is direct and indirect pathway. Direct and indirect pathway. The direct pathway is excitatory, and the indirect pathway is inhibitory for doing some planned actions. So the direct is excitatory and the indirect is inhibitory. First, the impulse will come to here from the brain to the putamen, then from the putamen to the globus pallidus, from the globus pallidus to the thalamus, then from the thalamus to the brain. This pathway is the direct pathway. After this, the action will be done through the corticospinal tract, which passes through the internal capsule. It means here you see, here glutamate will be secreted, and from this to this, the globus pallidus has internal, external, and internal part. Here from the putamen it will go to the internal part of globus pallidus. There is the GABA production, GABA produced, and from the internal part of the globus pallidus to the thalamus, again GABAergic neuron, then from the thalamus to the brain, glutamate. And as we say, direct pathway is excitatory pathway, and the indirect pathway is inhibitory. First, there will be from cortex to the putamen or stratum, from this to the external part of the globus pallidus. From the external part of the globus pallidus, the indirect pathway involves thalamus. It will go to the thalamus. From the thalamus again, it will come to the globus pallidus internal part. From globus pallidus internal part, it will come to the thalamus. From the thalamus, it will go to the brain. Here it is glutaminergic. Again, this is GABAergic. This is GABAergic again. And from the subthalamus to the internal part of globus pallidus, it is glutaminergic. From the internal part of the globus pallidus to the subthalamus, GABAergic. To the thalamus, GABAergic, and from the thalamus to the cortex, it is GABAergic. GABAergic neurons will be pass. So the indirect pathway is inhibitory for doing some action. And there we say there is substantia nigra from the midbrain. Substantia nigra has the upper part pars compacta, and the inferior part pars reticularis, and the pars compacta involves production of dopamine as D1 and D2 receptor. The D1 receptor will go to the direct pathway, and the D2 receptor will go to the indirect pathway. And the D1 receptor is excitator, and the D2 receptor is inhibitor. When the forebrain plans to do some action, so this will secrete dopamine that have excitator function on the direct pathway and inhibitor function on the indirect pathway. That means, and pars reticularis has similar makeup to the globus pallidus. So neurons goes to the globus pallidus, will come also to this, and from this to the thalamus. It has same function to this globus pallidus. So neurons will come to this like the neurons goes like here. Okay, then for example, if someone wants to flex his upper limb, excitatory impulse will goes to this one, and the inhibitory to the extensor muscles will go to the indirect pathway. That means, thank you. Subscribe.